Hi, welcome back to our Conscious Conversation series. We're here at the Brand Safety Summit EMEA. I'm here with Parvathy from Google. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I guess let's start a little bit with, tell us who you are, what your role is at Google, and I suppose a little bit about how you got into that position.
Yeah, sure. My name is Parvathy. I'm a global product lead for responsibility at Google. I have been at Google about 10 years. Prior to that, I worked in market research at Bases, which is owned by Nielsen. But I've been in the space of brand safety since 2017. So it's been quite a while. I actually, at the time, I was working at Google with advertisers, so I wasn't in my current role. And that was when the first, I guess the genesis of brand safety really started with very much inappropriate content monetizing. And at the time, it was something that, it hadn't, of course it had been brought up, but it hadn't really been addressed. And I kind of raised my hand to be on the teams that were thinking through solving the problem. So instead of running away from the fire, I ran to the fire. And I'm so happy I did. I think so much has happened since then.
Yeah, when you said 2017, I was like, that was a red letter year in the world of brand suitability.
I know, I feel like everybody has a little bit of
PTSD
from then.
we still talk about it now. We're like, the industry's still reeling. But I guess to add to that, now we're in 2024. So much has happened in terms of brand suitability and what the platforms have done and the tools that are out there. What do you think now the marketplace is looking for, and what do brands come to you now looking for when it comes to brand suitability?
Yeah, we talked about 2017, and we actually have a really great timeline that sort of outlines every single thing that we've done from a safety perspective, suitability perspective, and measurement, and it is an eyesore. But it's actually sort of my favorite visual because it really shows how far we've come. To put it into perspective, our controls like inventory modes, which just recently got accredited by the MRC, weren't even around in 2017. We just developed them in 2018. A lot of the controls that we have today, like excluded themes, are new as of last year. So we've really, we started out by investing in our safety mechanism. So that's our community guidelines, our advertiser-friendly guidelines, and we've continued to evolve them as time has progressed. And I think because we invested so much in safety and our 99% first-party safety claim and the MRC accreditation, I think only because of that we were then able to pivot and really sort of advance the suitability tools that we have. In terms of your question of what our advertisers ask for, they're really looking for a, let's call it a toolkit that allows them to go across the spectrum from very broad, like things like inventory modes, to very narrow, like keywords and placements. But there are also a set of advertisers that have very nuanced brand suitability needs. And I think that's where partners like yourself for Channel Factory play a critical role. I think that you guys do an amazing job at sort of overlaying the platform capabilities with your own proprietary capabilities to make sure that those needs are met. And I think it's a crucial part of the ecosystem.
Great, that's good to hear. I think also we're touching on transparency, as you said, like that a lot of clients are looking to for transparency and exactly where their media is run. So I guess those tools feed into that here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times we hear the notion of advertisers asking platforms not to grade their own homework. And I think it's, we hear it loud and clear. That's why we invest in things like our MRC accreditation, which honestly doing that every year is an investment in and of itself. We sit with MRC approved auditors. We go through all of our systems. In some cases, it means that we have to evolve the audit and expand it. But it's something that we're very proud of and we take very seriously. And again, I mentioned the second part, which is investing in this third party ecosystem, which I believe is critical. I think when you think about transparency, partners like Channel Factory, like other measurement partners are critical in delivering that from our advertisers so that they don't have to take our word for it, but they can work with objective partners like yourself that can really help them meet their bespoke suitability needs.
I think as well, like Google, as you said, went in early on brand suitability and went hard, and that's why it has more of a, I'd say, a trusted view than some of the other platforms that are out there. You don't have to talk. We always have this all the time where, you don't want to be throwing at the competitors, but just amplifying what you do yourself better. But what really stands out to me is that Google is the only one of the major social media platforms that allows independent third parties to access the API and recategorize content and look at things from a pre-bid perspective. I think some of the other social media partners only really focus on post-bid. Why do you think that is, I suppose, for Google versus the other platforms?
I can't speak about the other platforms, right? I don't know their perspective, but I would say in terms of the areas that we invest in, they are almost 100% a result of advertiser feedback. We take that very seriously. My team, and I forgot to mention this in my introduction, but our function is we essentially sit in between our advertisers and our technical engineering teams. And so our job is to make sure that we are ingesting the feedback from our advertisers, from our agencies, from our trusted partners on what are the actual needs for the purpose of responsibility, and making sure that we are then developing roadmaps that are according to those needs and expectations. So, I would say in terms of all of the areas that we've invested in, it's 100% because our advertisers have asked us to. That said, I don't want to say we're just beginning because we've made so much progress, but there's still some ways there's still some ways to go. As the industry leans into AI-powered solutions, we are committed to making sure that our responsibility features do expand across our inventory and network searchers like Google Video Partners and continue to scale.
And then I guess we know a lot of the topics here today at the Brand Safety Summit are around making sure that we're not overcorrecting with brand safety and brand suitability tools or criteria and then being damaging and excluding audiences. And so are brands also coming to you at Google to help them with how they can be more inclusive in their media plans? And I suppose what is in the toolkit for that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we hear this often. And in the panel that we participated on, we certainly touched on it. I think that leaning into being inclusive and expanding audiences is so critical to delivering on ROI. I mentioned it earlier, but I think leaning into that expands your market, it builds your brand love, it also bolsters creativity, right? New audiences, you have to think about your message a little bit differently. And again, that's where I think partners like Channel Factory can lean in as well to deliver on some of the bespoke needs, but also really leaning into AI. So into things like more content insights. And I know you all have your own proprietary technology as well, which I think is really important. And then also allowing the system to really go out and expand these audiences, making sure that they have as much inventory to work with. And that's where the balance that you mentioned on using all these tools really comes in, because you can't overlay all of these tools and then still expect that at least on the Google side, that the AI systems are going to optimize to the best of their potential to deliver on your goals. It has to be a balance of leaning into the controls and then also leaning into the AI technology.
So when you say with the AI technology and reaching more broader audiences and particularly reaching audiences that might be underrepresented, is that a relatively new development within the platforms, or is that something that is accessible for everybody?
No, it's not new. We've always been very much invested in making sure that we allow advertisers to reach those diverse communities. But to my point earlier, the use of a lot of these controls inadvertently, and I'm sure unintentionally, prevents that, right? And I know that you guys see it. We were talking about earlier on some of the block lists. As of the last couple of years, we have been really investing in our AI-powered campaigns. So those are things like our performance max campaigns or demand gen campaigns leading into the middle of the funnel, as well as the campaigns that we know really well and love, like VVC, video reach campaigns. And we're really encouraging our advertisers to lean into those and lean into the power of AI.
Great. It always comes back to AI now. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us today. I really appreciate it, Par. That was great.
Thank you so much for having me.